this duo, Rodgers and LaFleur, under the most scrutiny in week 1? Max?
Yes. Clearly, the answer is yes. I'm not talking about a coach with a team. I'm not talking about to see how a guy is as a head coach. I'm talking about specifically a coach with a quarterback. I'll leave the options to you. There's one glaring option I think you could take.
You could go with the Browns. I think obviously you're looking at Freddie Kitchens and Mayfield, so there's a lot of pressure there. The whole country is going to be looking at
Kitchens, that's what I mean by team.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Kitchens the question is, how is he as a head coach? Because it's not Mayfield you're really worried about. It's all the skills position. You know Mayfield can ball. The question
are you worried about Aaron Rodgers?
Yes, because Aaron Rodgers, coming off maybe the worst season of his career, where his team didn't make the playoffs, a guy who I think has had more sway over the outcome of any single game than anyone who ever lived, that Aaron Rodgers' position in history is being threatened. Yes, he's won a Super Bowl. I'm hearing people say, can you really tell me that Rodgers had a better career than Drew Brees, who you put higher on the all-time list? When to me, I look at Aaron Rodgers, he's better than everyone. Brady, everyone. I don't think it's a tough call. But his position in history is being threatened. And by the way, he just ran his old coach out of town. He's got a new coach who's never been on this level. In terms of not team performance, just quarterback and coach, everyone's looking at, as Stephen A would say, LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers.
I go with Freddie Kitchens and Baker Mayfield, and here's why. When you look at it, he's going from play caller to now head coach. That's a totally different dimension right there. You're not able, as a head coach, you're not sitting there, on the bench and just charting plays and just going over the plays with the second-year quarterback in Baker Mayfield. Now you're in charge of the whole operation. That means your singular focus last year is just being a play call. You're in charge of this whole deal now.
But it goes further than that. Last year, at the beginning of the season, he was a running backs coach. Like, he went from running backs coach to head coach in a year. So that's a lot of pressure. But I'm going to throw another team in the mix, another coach in the mix, and make this even more complicated. I think the Cowboys. The only coach that we have right now, Jason Garrett, that's playing in the last year of his deal, and there's a ton of pressure on him. We're talking about how a quarterback performs is going to impact the way that this guy or how long this guy keeps his job. I'm looking at Jason Garrett in Dallas. I think he's under more individual pressure than LaFleur. LaFleur just got there, and I think that team, if we're going to go with a whole team, it's definitely the Browns.
Can I just say something here? You are making, if you're saying which coach is under the most pressure, you have a very good point. If you're saying which head coach is under the most pressure in terms of how the whole team responds, how he manages a team, can he be a head coach, then you can look at Cleveland easily. A lot of big egos, a lot of skills positions players, only one ball to go around, a demonstrative quarterback who's not afraid to express himself on and off the field. That's a big job. But if we are talking strictly coach-quarterback combo, it's LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers. Is this a dude? Hey, this might be the best dude who ever lived. You're a first-year head coach. The problem was the old offense looked like it was from 10 years ago and didn't adapt. What are you two going to do? Hey, Aaron Rodgers, are you still going to perform to your old standard with this guy who's giving you the freedom you asked for?
The best thing that a rookie head coach could ask for is an all-time great as your quarterback. Think about what other problems would you rather you were the head coach at Cincinnati. You got Andy Dalton as your quarterback. There are worse off situations.
Brian Flores down in Miami. There's a lot of situations that are pretty bad.
There are worse situations than to be Matt LaFleur than having Aaron Rodgers, who's, like you said, the best quarterback that you have ever seen.
But again, the question is not is it the best or worst situation. The question is which combo is under the most scrutiny.
There's no scrutiny for Aaron Rodgers.
To piggyback that and to ask you, though, the fact that Coach LaFleur has said he's given the power to Aaron Rodgers to make calls on the fly, doesn't that actually take the pressure off of Coach and put it more on Aaron Rodgers?
That's a very good question. In a way, yes, but it's still the combo that's under scrutiny because this is what Aaron Rodgers has been asking for. I want a more kind of cerebral, dynamic offense. I want more freedom in the offense. Okay, you got it. If it doesn't work, Aaron Rodgers, you got what you asked. Be careful, you might get what you ask for. Meantime, what's the head coach going to do? It's still the most scrutiny.
How in the same segment can you say that he's the greatest you've ever seen, has sway over as much as anything, and he's the best quarterback of all time, we all love him, he's a bad man, and then say that his legacy is somehow in jeopardy? Aaron Rodgers' legacy is cemented. He's going to the Hall of Fame. He won a Super Bowl. This is what we normally have for guys at the end of their career, like Phillip Rivers, we talked about last segment. Phillip Rivers has not won a Super Bowl, so that matters. Aaron Rodgers has everything that he needs.
As Meek Mill said, there are levels to this, okay? Once upon, and by the way, the levels have risen because back in the day you were shooting at 4, let's say Montana or Bradshaw or someone, right? Now you're shooting at 6. So back in the day, like Phillip Rivers is not in this conversation. Ben Roethlisberger's won a couple, not in this conversation. Eli Manning's won a couple, not in this conversation. We're talking about the greatest among the greatest, the inner sanctum of the Hall of Fame. Why did Montana used to win the argument? You know, when you're arguing Montana-Marino, right? Rings. Marino got to one but didn't win one. I'm saying nowadays even winning one isn't enough to be in this conversation anymore. Like Montana was the guy who, with all the rings, Marino was the guy who said, but he's so talented, right? Rodgers is the Marino of this era if he only winds up with one.
Max, hold on. Would you agree with this? And Dominique pointed out. The reason I keep going back to the Cleveland Browns, you're talking about a guy in Freddie Kitchens who's had this crazy ascension to the head coaching job. Right. It almost reminds me like how Ben McAdoo's situation was with the Giants. Like he all of a sudden he comes in, becomes the offensive coordinator. The offense turns around in a couple years. Then also he's ascended to the head coach. What happened? He flames out because not everybody is built for this. Not everybody is built to be a head coach. With all the different personnel that's been acquired with the Cleveland Browns, a second-year quarterback in Baker Mayfield, who everyone's anointing like he's the next great one outside of Patrick Mahomes. You don't think that's the?
I think there is scrutiny.
Pressure is there?
No question. There is scrutiny on the quarterback head coach there. What I'm saying is, when you think of Kitchens, you don't think primarily just Baker Mayfield. You think, how is this dude going to handle this very talented roster?
No.
Thank you so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.